Hello and welcome, my name is Parky and today we're going to be doing another Let's Create in Spore. Now, running on with the theme that we've been doing in our Let's Create series, I'm going to do another Pokemon. Now, I'm sorry if you want me to build other things, but I'm just so into Pokemon. It's like my childhood love. And today what we're going to be doing is creating Hoppip. Now, Hoppip is a Generation 2 Pokemon. It's one of those funny ones that's kind of just like a blob with some features stuck onto it. So what we're going to do is we're going to start out with a nice orb shape for the body. Now, unfortunately in Spore you can't have any less than 2 of these spinal blobs, so you kind of have to make the bottom one really fat and the top one kind of thin to get as close to an orb shape as you can. Okay, so this is the front of our creature we must remember. Now Hoppip is sort of like a seed Pokemon. It's like it evolves into this flying flower thing. It's like a dandelion when they go all crispy and have all the seeds that you blow into your sibling's face and make them cry and blind. But yeah, fun childhood I had. So anyway, we're going to go for this and we're going to stick a couple of like sort of leafy appendages on his top. Now I think there's probably something fairly similar in here. We can just use this cover leaf, which is actually almost perfect. But let's just have a look to see whether we can extend them out a little bit, make them really long, and sort of make them... I guess you don't want them too thick, but we do probably want to rotate them outwards a little bit, like this. Now this is looking a bit rubbish, so I think what we're going to do is make it a bit bigger, and then maybe sort of like crush these in with that to make it look a bit more grassy. Now obviously again you have to forgive me because in Spore it's going to be bloody difficult to make anything look like how it's supposed to. But we're going to give it a damn good shot today. So let's just rotate these out a little bit more like that. And then maybe rotate these out again like this. I like it. It looks a bit more leafy, I suppose. I think that's pretty much as close as we're going to get. We can shift those around in a minute if we need to. Okay, so Hoppip, like all Pokemon, is incredibly happy. Actually, that's not true. Not all Pokemon are incredibly happy beings. There's, of course, Cubone, which is like the most unhappy being that you can possibly ever find. But Hoppip has these sort of vacant eyes that don't have any sort of like expression in them whatsoever. Now, obviously, this is looking a bit detached right now, but when we give it a colour scheme, I think those eyes are going to be perfect. It's got like piercing yellow eyes to look into your soul. Okay, now for mouths. Mouths is going to be pretty tricky, like always, because all of them just end up looking ridiculous. If we go for something like... oh no, dear God. Maybe like this? Oh no, Hoppip! Scary, ruining my childhood! Oh, let's please not do that. Are there actually going to be any mouths in here that are going to do the job? Or am I going to have to make one out of scratch? If we can even do that, having said that. Maybe we could use like one of these and turn it upside down? Is that going to look weird? It might look a little bit weird. He's got a very happy, sort of like, far too happy face that kind of looks like this. Yeah, I tell you what, we're going to go with this, and I'm going to use a knee pad, some armour plating, to sort of fill in that gap in the middle to make it look like he's smiling. So let's just go with something like... oh, actually, this is kind of better. That's like the shape of his mouth right there. So let's just move these out of the way. Put that there like so. And then maybe what we can do is just make this a little bit... oh, I don't know. This might actually end up looking a bit weird. I'll tell you what then. Maybe if we use a bone plate that sticks out a little bit, this can be like the tongue part of his mouth. And we can colour it a different colour in a minute. I think this is going to work. It looks very strange right now, but bear with me. It will all come together in the end. Right, okay, so some other big features on our old Hoppip here. I feel so sorry for him. His legs, which are kind of just like little blobs. And the way that we're going to do that is we can pretty much choose any of these arms because it doesn't really matter. Now, obviously, we're not going to keep these arms like this. So let's just... oh, that was the wrong thing to do. Let's just grab these off. And I'm wondering, actually, if we can just make these little... and sort of come out like this. Now, how high up are they? They're sort of to the either side of his mouth. Almost exactly like that, actually. But let's just move them sort of down. Oh, damn. The perspective in this game always completely ruins my mind. So we want it to face down, but that's probably going to be out to the side now. Yeah. Okay, sure. We'll just go for this, shall we? He's gonna be a little bit of a special Hoppip. character. Okay, right, so let's just now grab these, and I think we can duplicate them if I'm not mistaken somehow, but I can never bloody remember how to do any of these things. Is it tab? No? No. Oh, God! Okay, give up on that because I can never remember the bloody controls. I did say last episode that I've not played this for ages, right? Okay, so let's now make the same little blob things at the back, and I believe these are a little bit further down, and they almost sort of look more like feet. So let's just bring them round to the front like that, and maybe make them a little bit blobbier on the ends, because they're a bit thicker at the back than they are at the front. And in fact, that's a good point, we can make these a little bit blobbier here, so they look a bit more like sort of fat at the base. Fat at the base and thin at the tip. That's what everyone wants in life. Okay, and then aside from that, we have a little tail as well that we're going to need to make. So let's just merge these together. Get rid of these forearms, and then let's do this trick. Merge it. There we go. And bring it out a little bit like this. Now, it'd actually be good if we could sort of curve this round a little bit. I'm actually wondering whether we could do that with an arm instead of sort of doing the mergey merge. The mergey merge. Let's do it, shall we? Let's try it out. We're going to put this at the back, get rid of this hand, and then sort of... Oh god, he's morphing into himself. Bring the tail around a little bit like this. Now, we obviously don't want too much of a curve here, but we can change that in a second. So let's make that a little bit thinner, like this. Oh, that's a lot longer than I thought it was going to be. This is the problem. They really need to sort out the perspective in this game, but obviously there's no support for it anymore, so they're not going to anytime soon. So we'll have to put up with it, fellow fans. Okay, let's move this around to the side a little bit like this. It does actually stick out a little bit more than I thought, and it sort of is a bit fatter on the end. Cool. Okay, I think that's good. If we just move it into the middle a little bit more. Perfect. Okay, it's looking good. Now, the last major feature on a Hoppip is its ears. And we're probably going to find those in this section. Or maybe actually in... Where are the ears? I think they're in this section here. Okay, so they kind of look like cat ears in a way. I don't know whether we can make these any thicker. But let's just give it a go. It doesn't really look like it. I guess that's fairly close. What do these ones look like instead? We'll just do a little test down here instead of replacing those at the top. I think... because they are kind of pointy. I'm not sure. Let's just get rid of these. What do these ones look like if we make them a little bit bigger? Yeah, I actually think they look a bit closer because they've got more of a ridge on the back where it connects in. And I guess from the side we're just going to have to use our imagination. But that's okay. And they sit fairly close to Hoppip's leaves. They do sort of rotate down a little bit more, so let's just do that. Sort of like that. And I think that's pretty good. I think they might need to be a little bit bigger though, if we can. In fact, this is as big as they can go. Okay, well, there we go. Right, so let's now go into the paint mode. Now this is where things are going to get really cool, because it's going to all come together and the mouth isn't going to look completely weird and strange and like I've just made a horrible mistake in life. Okay, so let's obviously do the base colour first of all. Now, he is pink. I don't know if we can get a slightly softer pink than this. I'm thinking something a little bit more like... That's not as soft as I thought it was going to be. Maybe a little bit darker than that. Maybe this one? I think that's pretty close. It's pretty close. Yeah, sure. Okay, and we're going to go for this pattern as well. It's just a very sort of mottled-y background colour. There's no real features on Hoppip. He's very smooth. He uses Venus razors. He fell for the adverts. He wants to be a sexy woman and have smooth legs. Okay, and then for the eyes, what we're going to do, if we go for the... Oh yeah, of course, you can't colour things independently, can you? That's a bit annoying. Okay, for detail. Now, what's this going to change? So detail... Oh, damn, I forgot it's in the vehicle menu that you had to change those things. Okay, maybe this is going to end up looking a little bit weird then. So we're going to have green detail, because obviously his leaves are green, and his mouth is unfortunately going to look really stupid, so I might go back and change that. Unfortunately as well, his eyes are black, so let's just go back into this menu and see if we can swap this up a little bit. Now, I don't think there's any other eyes that are going to look better, unfortunately. In fact, what is the fine detail bit? Is the coat different? detail coat? Yeah, okay. And the detail is going to affect what exactly? Oh, it's just sort of like shading around the bottom. Nothing. There we go. Okay, so let's go back into this. I really don't know what to do about these eyes because there's no obviously yellow items in here, aside from these ones. But I think they kind of look a little bit terrifying. I'm not sure. I feel like I'd rather him have black vacant eyes that are at least the right shape, but the wrong colour, than having those sort of weird yellow lizard eyes. I mean, he could look like he's had a hard night out on drugs, but I think this is probably as close as we're going to get. Now, the mouth, unfortunately, the idea that I had is not going to work. So let's go back into this menu here and see if we can grab one of these out. I think probably the best bet we're going to have is one of these. Is there a flatter one that doesn't look as terrifying? You can have big juicy lips. I don't know if I would want to kiss those lips. This is a creature that only his mother could love. Let's put it that way. Unfortunately, most of these have very big teeth, unless you go for an omnivore or herbivore mouth. But then the herbivore mouths are so ridiculous looking. I guess this one, if we just get rid of that and go for something a bit like that. How does that look? He's got a little pig mouth. Does pig mouth look good? I'm not really sure. I can't tell. I think that's probably as close as we're going to get, though, with the mouths that we have on offer. Okay, so let's give him his name. Hoppip. Oh god, he sounds terrifying. I don't know whether you heard that. And let's just give him a quick description. Hoppip has a mouth that only his mother would want to kiss. So let's just take him on a little test ride. Obviously, Hoppip, in real life, doesn't actually walk around the floor, but because we've had to use arms to emulate his arms, it still thinks that he's walking on them, which means that he's not floating around. In fact, he's just doing this really awkward shuffle along the floor. Oh my god. Kill me! Ah. Okay, well there we are. This has been Let's Create Hoppip. If you enjoyed today's episode and want to leave your suggestions for what I should build in the next Let's Create, then please do so below in the comments section. Also, please leave a rating because it really helps out my channel, and subscribe if you haven't done so already. Thank you for watching. Goodbye, awkward, awkward, goodbye. Awkward.